Hello and welcome to Canada Decides. Canada has voted for Mark Carney as the next Prime Minister of Canada. What does it mean for the India-Canada relationship? What does it mean for Canada going forward? We decode over the next 30 minutes. I'm Gaurie Dwivedi, but we start the show as always with the headlines. Mark Carney leads Liberals to a stunning election victory. Liberals return to power with the fourth consecutive mandate. Mark Carney warns Canadians of Trump in victory speech. He says they should never forget lessons of US betrayal. Prime Minister Modi congratulates Mark Carney on his election win, says looking forward to working with Mark Carney. India-Canada bound by shared democratic values, says Prime Minister Modi. Opposition leader Pierre Poilievre loses his own parliamentary seat. Liberal Bruce Fanjoy topples Poilievre in Carleton, the seat which saw 90 other candidates along with Pierre Poilievre. Jagmeet Singh steps down as the NDP chief after losing his own seat. Jagmeet Singh loses the Burnaby Central parliamentary seat and also the status of National Party in Canada. You're watching Canada Decides. Canada has decided. Canada has voted for Mark Carney. We're now going to talk about what this means for India-Canada, what it means for Canada's position on the key issues that are facing the world. How will Carney's leadership will be different from his predecessor, that is Justin Trudeau? Viewers, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre was unseated as the parliamentary representative of his Ottawa district in a stunning upset that could put his leadership of the party in question. So there's just so many of these parallel developments that are unfolding in Canada. Poilievre is projected to lose his long-time rural Ottawa seat to Liberal Bruce Fanjoy. In fact, he'd won the area 7 times in a row, going back to his first win in 2004. If we can, let's play out this soundbite of Poilievre. But before that, well, let's always start the show and to start the coverage with the winner, because the winner takes it all, and we should in fact be playing Carney's bite first, and then we'll come back and play Poilievre at some stage. But first up, let's get in Vikram Chaudhary from Brampton to talk to us about the ramifications of this victory, its impact, and how it is likely to shake things up in Canada. Vikram, I know it was basically Donald Trump who shook everything up in the last 2 months, but what do you expect going forward?
You know, it's a saying that 2 months is a long time in politics, or perhaps 2 weeks is a long time in politics. And this was the testimony. The Canadian election results was the testimony to that fact, is that even 2 days is a long time in politics. We've seen many ups and downs, but this situation, what's unfolded today, was unimaginable in December of 2024, when the gap between Liberal Party and the Conservative Party was more than 25 points. And today you have it, Mark Carney, who many perhaps never even would have imagined a few months ago that could be the next Prime Minister of Canada. And what I can tell you is that it's not going to be easy ride for Mark Carney. He's got a number of things to take care. Obviously, the discontent in Canada, the economy is in shambles, unemployment, inflation, the unaffordability, and the local issues. So those are the key issues, of course, and the immigration. Those are the issues that perhaps he has to take on the domestic front. He has to take care of these issues on the domestic front. And the elephant in the room is Donald Trump. So that's another big problem. That perhaps where he's today, it's because of Donald Trump's rhetoric, that he's been quite often saying that Canada needs to be 51st state of US. That's how he's going to shell those taxes, the tariffs against Canada. And also, Canada has always been a great ally for US. And the fact is that the political parties try to capitalize on this, the betrayal, that who's best fitted to do the job, to show perhaps who Donald Trump confront him upfront. So that was the real issue in the Canadian elections out here. But on the Conservative side, they've done well. They've increased their vote share, perhaps the largest in the last about 20 years. But unfortunately for them, their leader lost the riding of Carlton. And not just Pierre Poilievre, it's Jagmeet Singh as well. Jagmeet Singh lost his own riding. And then perhaps his party even lost the status of the national party. So things were very loud during the campaign, perhaps the loudest campaign in Canada in last about 10 years. But
Vikram, I need to tell this to our viewers. Stay with me because there are three very important takeaways of this election that has just come out. First important takeaway, Mark Carney has got the fourth Liberal victory that was unprecedented, unexpected till 2 months back. The second important takeaway, Mr. Poilievre, that I was speaking about a short while back, has lost his own seat. There's going to be now a churn in the Conservative Party itself, and that is likely to shape Canadian politics as well going forward. The third other important takeaway is that Jagmeet Singh, the man who was very instrumental in being a part of Trudeau politics that essentially ruptured India-Canada ties due to extremist ideologies related to Khalistan, has lost his own seat, has lost the status of the National Party for NDP. So that is an end of the road for Jagmeet Singh. So these are three important takeaways. Now we are trying to now come up and talk about the big picture. What does this mean for Canada going forward? What will be Mark Carney's roadmap as he fixes the economy, fixes the trade issues with US, tries to strike a balance with some of the other countries in the world? He also mentioned that India is a very important partner, an important country he wants to focus on. And then, of course, he'll have to fix some of the other domestic issues as well. Vikram, I want to now come back to you and ask you, what do you think would be the first set of priorities that Mark Carney is likely to focus on?
I think the first set of priorities, obviously, is Donald Trump's the tariff rhetoric. So he needs to address. There's a lot of uncertainty around it, whether the spare parts, the auto parts, the cars, the aluminium, the steel, what would be tariffed and at what rate. So there's a lot of uncertainty around there. Of course, that would be his priority, and that's what got him to power, where the situation where Liberal is today. And when you talk about Indo-Canadian relationship, you brought up a very important point. Jagmeet Singh is not there. And let's remember that Liberal was a minority government, and Jagmeet Singh's support was crucial for Justin Trudeau, and he could have pulled the plug anytime. So what he was trying to play is perhaps trying to keep Jagmeet Singh happy and also bring in the nationalist a nationalist sentiment when he tried to say that India was trying to interfere in Canadian politics, and perhaps some of the Canadian citizens were not very safe when India had its interest to be taken care of. So those were the issues Justin Trudeau was trying to rely heavily on.
Trudeau rejected, Jagmeet Singh rejected. Trudeau rejected by his own party, Jagmeet Singh rejected by the people of Canada. So that ideology, that sentiment, that thought is now behind, and Carney needs to now turn the leaf, start a chapter completely different. Before I let you go and before we slip into a break, Vikram, I want to understand from you the churn that you expect in Canadian politics, both when it comes to the Conservative Party and also some of the other smaller parties. BQ did very well. Many said more than what was expected.
It's not going to be easy if I start with Mark Carney. It's not going to be very easy. Remember, he's not a politician. He's a trained economist. He was governor of Bank of Canada, Bank of England's governor. And this perhaps is his first innings as a politician. So you cannot, we cannot have high expectations. So it's not going to be very easy. Remember, for the moment, the counting has been suspended. They're still short of majority. First, he needs to do very well as a politician, take his flock together, and also try and see that portfolio distribution, who deserves what. So Mark Carney's task is not cut out yet, so there's lots to do. And also remember that Pierre Poilievre, he's a wounded tiger at the moment. He'll try and see that he remains the leader of the Conservative Party. Remember,
a lot of churn is likely to take place.
25, at the age of 25, he became one of the youngest MPs, and ever since he's been very vocal and very articulate, and He's a very good
vocal,
orator.
articulate, a young politician who's really tried to create that, and all along he created that distinction between himself and Mark Carney, saying he came from humble roots and he exemplified the Canadian life, unlike Mark Carney, who was Mr. Moneybags. That's what he talked about all along in the campaign. It didn't hit a chord with the people. I'm going to slip into a break. Bikram, thanks so much for really decoding that for us in greater detail. Quick break. We come back on the other side. The Ottawa-New Delhi relationship after the big reset in Canada. What will it look like? We come back and talk more on that. Let's now get in Ambassador Satish Mehta, India's former Consul General in Toronto, along with Maha Siddiqui, my colleague, who's standing by to really decode for us what lies ahead in terms of the India-Canada relationship. We'll also try and connect with Don Patel in just a bit. Maha, you've been keeping your ear to the ground, so to say. You've seen the changes that have unfolded in India-Canada relationship in the last 6 months. How do you see that being repaired, given the fact that Mr. Carney did mention that India is an important relationship, and Prime Minister Modi also congratulated Mark Carney, talked about the bilateral relationship. How do you see this now going forward from here, the New Delhi-Ottawa relationship?
Well, clearly, Gaurie, at the moment, Canada realizes the importance of shoring up other allies, other friends and partners in view of their souring relationship with the United States and with the annexation and economic threats coming in from the US. In that context, the whole of Indo-Pacific becomes very important for Canada. They already have an Indo-Pacific strategy, which does highlight the importance of India. But unfortunately, over the past few years, the issue of the pro-Khalistan movement being allowed to continue here unchecked in Canada was an issue that India was concerned about and had repeatedly raised, which led to a situation ultimately where we saw the unfortunate departure of diplomats from either side last year. With Mark Carney coming in, and if this is not a minority government finally, because remember, Gaurie, counting is still continuing. It was paused for a bit, and in about 15 minutes from now, the counting will resume. And for some ridings right now, it is still too close to call. The Liberals are at 168. They are 4 seats shy of a majority government. If they finally get a majority government, they will not be dependent on any other party for taking the decisions that they do in Parliament or otherwise. Many people believe that the last time around, the Liberal government being in minority and being supported by NDP was leading them to take certain decisions with regards to India that were not conducive for the relationship between New Delhi and Ottawa. And therefore, a lot hinges really on the composition finally of the government, on whether and how stable it is. Mark Carney has indicated that he would like for better relations between the two countries. Yes. But how it plays out politically because of domestic pressures, it still remains to be seen, and it clearly depends on the numbers that they would have ultimately.
All right, Maha Siddiqui, really appreciate you giving us that lowdown on what lies ahead and what could be the future of the New Delhi-Ottawa relationship. And in fact, that's why let's put up those big questions that we always put on for our viewers to understand why this discussion, this issue is so important. First up, what does Carney's win mean for the India-Canada relationship? Next, can Carney repair the ties? Remember, they underwent their steepest decline, their nadir during Justin Trudeau and Jagmeet Singh combination's time. But can they repair from that nadir? Next, will India and Canada finalize a free trade pact? There are geopolitical headwinds, given the fact that Donald Trump, is pretty much breathing down Canada's neck. Will that be a catalyst? Next, how will Carney address the Khalistan issue? The Khalistani issue still is an important factor. Canadian politicians they've expressed that they have a soft corner for these separatist ideologies and extremist views. How will Mark Carney address this is another key issue. Ambassador Satish Mehta joins me, and we also have Dan Patel to talk on that. Ambassador Mehta, to you first. The India-Canada relationship, Prime Minister Modi has congratulated Mark Carney. Mark Carney said that India is an important relationship that he would like to look at going forward. Where do you see this now going, and what do you think should be the milestones that we should now look out for?
Thank you very much. Let's just start with the elections first, and let's decode those elections. That's important. So, first thing is, of course, the Liberals have come for the fourth time in power. They hope to be there now. And that's almost unprecedented. The second thing is the vote share. Liberals in the last election, that was 2021 elections, had about 33% vote share. And now they moved to over 42%, so almost 9-10% jump. And that has come mainly at the cost of Jagmeet Singh's party, the NDP. Equally interestingly, the Conservatives have also increased their vote share from about 33-34% to over 41%. So you see a consolidation of votes towards two major parties. Bloc Québécois continues to get what it gets, a little bit here, a little bit there. The new party, which is sort of the MAGA party of Canada, the PPC, has taken a lot of drubbing from over 5% vote in the last elections. They have just a 1% vote. So you see consolidation of votes, at least in this election, to the two major parties of Canada, the Liberals and the Conservatives. The first thing. Second is very clearly, if you see the way things have progressed since the last few months, Conservatives were about 70 to 20% ahead of Liberals. And then the Trump effect happened. And first Trudeau and then Mark Carney stood up to President Trump. And I think that's what turned the tide for the Liberal Party. Mark Carney was seen, including Trudeau also.
Okay.
Was seen standing up to President Trump. So that's something to bear in mind. The third important issue, which I think once you get more details of the election Q1, how many of the Liberal members would have a pro-Khalistani orientation? That's important because it's both not just.
Okay, I believe there's an audio issue. I'm going to try and address that. But Mr. Patel, let me come to you now. Some of the points that Ambassador Mehta made are extremely significant, that Mark Carney has gained on the back of the complete collapse of Jagmeet Singh's party and his vote base. The fact that he, of course, is very close to getting a majority of his own. The fact that Pierre Poilievre, his primary opponent, himself has lost his seat. All these do indicate a very empowered Canadian Prime Minister who will be empowered to take decisions that will be better for Canada and also ensure that the Canadian-Indian relationship moves forward. How do you read that?
Well, who would be more happy to see this relationship build in a so progressive way than myself? Because I was myself as a victim of this India-Canada relationship. This Khalistan factor came up. My ties with the Consul General over here, they portrayed me as an Indian agent, and that's how they removed it. So who would be more happy to see this relationship improve? And yes, as we say, Mark Carney is about to make the majority, even though his Liberal doesn't make the majority government, even though there will be minority, he is indicating that he will improve the relationship with India. And bilateral relationship with not only India, but globally, what had become in last few years of this Liberal NDP coalition has become a joke for Canadian in our G7 country also. So definitely hoping to see that is improving, but that is also takes in Mark Carney's hand to take the step forward, say what he is doing it, and he's showing the strength that, okay, I will be going forward and improving the relationship with Prime Minister Modi and his government in India. Coming forward, let's say whatever the Pierre Poilievre has lost his own seat into in his riding, and there will be speculation that by-election will come up, and the Conservative did gain lots of seats over here, so they'll be putting up the pressure to build up the relationship globally, especially with India. So we are seeing that all this taking, and Khalistan factor was definitely one of the big factor where Liberal was pushed to take so many decisions, which was not only in favor of anybody, but it was damaging the relationship with India. So going forward, we are looking at that progress, which Mark Carney will be taking further.
Indeed. Ambassador Mehta, then let me ask you, you've been able to decode the election results. Talk to us about your expectations of the first set of measures that you expect the Carney government to now undertake to repair the India-Canada relationship.
I think he will move forward to repair India-Canada relations. He had expressed that earlier too. Secondly, he's not a normal politician. He has been a chairman of the Bank of England, Bank of Canada, more economist, a person who is not a normal politician, if one has to brand him. And so one expects that he will not fall into the Khalistani trap or the silliness of all that, as compared to what Justin Trudeau did. To great cost to India-Canada relations. Conservatives were very good under Stephen Harper. I was there when he was Prime Minister, and he gave no quarter to those who India-haters at all. Pretty firm on that. I don't know to what extent Mr. Carney would go. That depends, as I said, upon once you know the details of who won, who did not, and what kind of support he gets from, very likely from the truncated NDP, and who has won from the NDP side. So
NDP will be a non-entity, but I've got a, sir, there is a recurring audio issue, and I hope that we are able to fix this. But Mr. Patel, let me ask you the other factor. In the event that Mr. Carney still is a couple of seats short, ridings as Canadians call it, is still short, and he needs the support of BQ, the Quebec party. How do you think that is likely to shape his policies, given the fact that the coalition partner will come in with his or its own set of priorities?
Well, as we have seen, that Mr. Carney is not a career politician, but in law, it never has been in a federal election before that this much a long lead has wiped out and somebody has arrived with just a short time and became a prime minister in Canadian history. So that shows people is believing in him, people is showing the strength in him, and he will come forward with the help of either Bloc Québécois or minority government themselves. But he is still a prime minister. He will take the decision, and once he starts taking the steps, improving the global relationship, especially with India and US, the support from other parties, I definitely see it will be start pouring in. Bloc Québécois, doesn't matter what they say, yes, they will have to get support. It's only 4 seats shy of Liberal getting into that. But even though what I think it is, even though it is a minority government, they form it, Mark Carney will take so much bold decisions to make the relationship better going forward or in favor of the Canadian public.
All right, I'll leave it there. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me. And as we wrap this up, bottom line, viewers, is that Mark Carney is not Justin Trudeau. And there are 4 reasons why that is the case. Mark Carney is the one who led his party to a 4th victory that was unexpected, unlike Justin Trudeau, who was the reason for polls to be tanking. Second, Mark Carney is a successful economist, a banker who's expected to fix the Canadian economy, unlike Justin Trudeau, who sat over a housing crisis and economic crisis. Mark Carney also has made some very promising statements about the India-Canada relationship. He said he wants to repair it through mutual respect. Justin Trudeau was the reason why the India-Canada relationship tanked. And lastly, Mark Carney doesn't need Jagmeet Singh to be the Prime Minister. Justin Trudeau's party was led into power because of the crutches of Jagmeet Singh's party. These 4 reasons are enough to tell us that Carney's Prime Ministership will be nothing like Justin Trudeau. He will work on fixing the relationship, making it better. At stake are the 4.2 lakh Indian students who are in Canada, the 2.8 million diaspora of Indo-Canadians, and of course, a large, thriving trade relationship ruptured by Justin Trudeau and his petty politics. On that note, completely timed out on this edition of Canada Decides. Thanks so much for tuning in.